Good morning, everybody. Great to see you guys again. So we're back again. This is going to be lesson 7. So this is all about the TIR barrier. So actually kind of interesting. This is the last lesson I'm going to do before we get into convention. But at Ray Higdon's Rank Makers, I'm going to be talking about fear. So this is a topic I've been studying a lot lately. And it's just so interesting that it timed up right now with this lesson. So let me just make sure our chat is working here. 1 second. Everybody can talk. Okay. Hello, everybody. Good to see you guys. Okay. So let's get this started. This is kind of like a complex chapter, especially when it comes to start drawing some of these things that Bob is having me draw here. But yeah, if you've ever had any type of success in your life, and matter of fact, you cannot become successful really at anything unless you conquer some sort of fear, right? And, if you think about it, why is it, people get excited about a goal and then nothing happens? Why does that happen? Why is it only, wonder why only a select group of people that really hit those big goals? Why is that? Well, most people don't hit their goals because, for one, they're setting the wrong one, right? They're not setting that C-type goal. We talked about that in lesson 1. You've got to really go for the C-type goal. If you're not going after that C-type goal, then for one, you're not doing anything you haven't done before or that you think you can't do. And if you're not going after that C-type goal, there's going to be no fear. So in this situation, we actually want to embrace fear, right? We want to embrace it because we're going to have to go through it one way or the other. There's no way around it. You can't learn how to ride a bike, being afraid of falling. You're going to fall. You're going to hit your face on the cement once or twice. So that's going to happen. And so because that's going to happen, you can't be afraid of it. You've got to be prepared for it. You got to have understanding so that you can go through it. So that's what this lesson's all about. But here's what happens is you come face to face with a wall, like an inner wall. He calls it a TIR barrier. And bang, just like that, you're sunk. Have you guys ever been in that situation before? You're like, man, I want to buy this house, or I want to, maybe get married, or I want to, X, Y, Z, whatever it is that you want to do. Have you ever encountered any type of fear? Like, maybe that's too big. Maybe that's not what I really need. This is what I was like, so good at doing this, you guys. I would set a big goal and then I would say to myself, I don't need all that. Why don't I don't need to do that. Why don't I just take it easy? I got enough money in the bank now. Why do I need to set a new goal? Those are the type of things, that is actually a type of fear, doubt, procrastination, worry. These are all types of things that get lodged into our subconscious that talks us out of, our goals. So everybody that's ever accomplished anything has come up against the TIR barrier, but they've been able to crash right through it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. So there's just 4 stages that we're going to have to understand and really get through so that you guys can understand what it takes to push through any fear that's associated with your goal. Now, there's a healthy type of fear. If you're being chased by a lion, obviously you're going to run as fast as you can. Not talking about that type of fear. Some of that is instinctually built in us, and it's a good thing that we have that. Maybe don't run across the street when a train's coming, and things like that. But the type of fear I'm talking about is anxiety, right? Anxiety towards our goals. It's being afraid to step out of what we are currently doing right now. It's the fear of getting out of our comfort zone. Like, this is the type of fear that I'm talking about. And it's the fear that holds you back from ultimately achieving what you're trying to achieve in your life. And so there's 4 stages, 4 steps that we're going to talk about today. And that's bondage, reason, the TIR barrier, and freedom. So on the other side of that wall, that TIR barrier is freedom. And that's how I'm going to help get you guys there today. All right. So let's talk about bondage. So bondage is literally, it's X-type energy conditioning, right? It's X-type behavior. It's X-type results. You're in an X-type vibration. So what's that mean? So a person that's earning $50,000 a year probably isn't thinking thoughts of somebody that's earning $1 million a year, right? No, they're thinking thoughts of somebody earning $50,000 a year. Like, that's the energy that they're in, right? And so they typically won't get out of that vibration until they entertain a new idea, right? And sometimes this happens, a lot of times it happens when people get into the network marketing industry, right? They're thinking, I make this much money over here at my job. Now I want to come over here. Now I have a new idea. This is a Y type idea now entering your mind, which is maybe I can make $50,000 a month. So, but typically the majority of people, they're living in bondage. They don't realize it. It's bondage of their own creation. They don't even realize and understand that they've created those parameters, those limitations, and ultimately are keeping themselves there, and they don't even realize it, right? And so that's bondage, right? And so we want to get out of that. And the reason, the way that we get out of that is when we start thinking of a new idea. So now you're going from, the $50,000 a year idea to the $50,000 a month idea. So the outside idea, we're going to call that a Y idea. And I'm going to actually show you guys this on my handy dandy whiteboard here, because I do feel like some of y'all are going to be visual for sure. And this is going to help you understand a little bit. So let me just get my drawing here going. Oh, this is square. And I'm not like a professional whiteboard maneuverer here. So we're just going to try to, forgive me for my drawing skills. I'm not a professional at this. All right. So this is our little stick figure person that we've, been operating with for a while, right? That's the body. That's the head. You guys already know this. This is the subconscious mind, right? And so here's what happens when we talked about bondage. This is now we're moving into the other category, which is reason. Okay. So let me just break it down for you with a nice little drawing. Bob loves to draw his lessons. He says he's not a speaker, he's a teacher. And so that's what we're going to talk about. All right. So when you're in bondage, you've got an X up here. You're having X type ideas, right? So this is bondage over here, B for bondage. All right. And then you have X type feelings, which are confirming all those ideas. And then in your body, you're vibrating on an X type vibration, right? Okay. So when we move into reason, which is the next stage, you now have a Y type idea. But here's the issue is you've got X type feelings, but Y type ideas. I'd like to buy, I don't know, $3 million house. That's your Y type idea. But your income is $50,000 a year. And so you're feeling still attached to the old you or the old version of your goals, but you're entertaining a new idea. So they start out the same as bondage. This reason starts out the same as bondage, except you start to entertain new ideas. Now, a Y idea in the conscious mind, but if you don't impress it upon the subconscious, if you don't impress it upon the subconscious, right? You're not entertaining it in your feelings, right? Your emotions, your emotional mind hasn't changed anything, right? So as long as that doesn't happen internally, if you're not impressing that idea into your emotions, into your subconscious mind, nothing changes. So that's kind of the case. Like you could have like a wild thought, but if you're like, no, like, nah, I would never do that. No, I could never. You're just kind of kicking it out. So you've never internalized that. So that's why nothing changes, right? It's only when you create the Y idea and you impress that upon the subconscious mind to create that feeling is when things start to change, right? So, and why do you have these ideas? Why are these new ideas coming to play? Why are you now at an MLM event and you're thinking, man, maybe I could do that too, right? Why is that happening? Because the uniqueness within you, remember we talked about this in the last lesson, your spiritual DNA, which is perfection. It's that uniqueness within you that's seeking expression. Maybe we're tired of the expression that we're doing here, living the same day every single day in, day out, clock in, clock out, feed my kids dinner. We watch a movie, we go to bed. It's the same routine every single day. And you're thinking, man, is there more to life? Like, can I do something else? That's the uniqueness within you that's seeking expression. It's there for a reason. We're all literally called to live in the fullest expression of ourselves. And so if we keep on ignoring that and suppressing that and saying, shh, no, I'm not going to entertain that idea, nothing will ever change, right? It's almost like this. It's like, and I'm going to try to say this in two different ways so you guys understand. It's like you go to a doctor's office and they say, you've got 6 months to live. So that's a Y type idea. Whereas you're operating on an X type vibration, and internally you feel like, well, I don't have anything wrong with me, right? Now, in some situations, that person, if they choose to not entertain that why idea, they're able to maintain their health. Now, flip it around on the flip side. Let's think about it in a different way. Let's say you've got 70 years to live. Now, nobody knows how long you're going to live, but let's say your doctor says you're in perfect health. There's nothing wrong with you, but internally you feel like there is. Well, that uniqueness within you is going to seek expression. It's going to look for a problem. It's going to look for a disease. It's going to create disharmony within you, and eventually you'll manifest a disease, right? So this is a very powerful concept to understand, because most people are not aligning their mind and their emotions, their mental faculties and their emotions, their ideas and their feelings. They're not harmonizing those. And so what happens when you don't harmonize those? What happens if you leave a Y-type idea up here, but internally you're still in an X-type vibration? What happens? Well, that creates chaos. Now you're in a chaotic vibration. Now you're the opposite of harmony. You're literally just creating chaos within your life, and ultimately your results are going to be chaotic also. You know, people in your life that they're like, will turn around, get in a car accident, and then the next 3 days later, their dog dies. And then the next 4 days after that, their mom has a stroke. And then the next, month after that, it's like something else, right? They're like literally manifesting the next thing after the next thing. And ultimately it's because their emotions and their ideas about what they're trying to get in their life are not matched. They're creating a chaotic vibration. When you live in a chaotic vibration, your results will also be chaotic. Okay, so let's talk about what happens next. So that's bondage we talked about. That's when, people living in ignorant bliss, right? My parents for sure is a good example of this. I feel like they're professionals at this. Actually, they're like, man, we'd like to travel. That's their why. Nah, but we can never do that. We're just going to turn the TV on and just pretend like we're traveling in our head, so we don't actually have to go through the work to do that, right? They're like, they flip the switch back to bondage. They're living in bondage. They don't realize it. All right. So reasons when we entertain a new idea. That's what we're all doing here in network marketing. We're entertaining a new idea. You opened up your mind just a little bit to think, maybe this is something I could do. All right. So what happens next? Bondage, reason. Now we're going to hit the TIR barrier. All right. We go into conflict. So like I just said, now you've got the Y idea right here. All right. But you got a YX vibration. This is conflict. Now you're living in conflict. So what happens when you're living in conflict? Oh man, this is really hard to conflict. I'm almost like forgetting how to spell. It's taking me so long to write this. All right. We live in a conflict. We have a conflicting vibration that we're living in. Your body is literally in a state of chaos. So what does that mean? Well, you've got worry on the conscious mind. You've got fear on the subconscious mind. And at the vibrational level, you're operating in anxiety, literally. And what happens when you're operating in anxiety? Well, so anxiety is suppression. So you're trying to just suppress it. You're trying to talk yourself out of your goals. Now you're trying to put yourself back into bondage, but that doesn't feel right either. What you really want to do is get through the fear, but you don't have the way to get through it because you don't have understanding. Now, I've heard people say that the opposite of fear is faith. Okay, well, blind faith isn't worth diddly, right? It's not worth anything, because as soon as you have one little obstacle along the way, you're going to say, yep, that's a sign for this isn't the right path, and I'm going to give up. Okay, it's really not faith. Faith is not really the opposite of fear. What's the opposite of fear is understanding. Faith based on understanding. For instance, when you walk into a dark room, it might be scary, right? Because you don't know what's around the corner. You don't know if you're about to step on a scorpion or a cockroach or whatever. You don't know like what's happening, if there's critters or not, right? You're in the dark. You don't know. When you're in the dark and you don't know, you're living in ignorance. The only problem that ever exists literally is ignorance. So what happens when you turn the light on? You turn the light on, you can see, and you see there's nothing to be afraid of, right? You see, there's in fact not a scorpion I'm about to step on. In fact, everything is where it should be. And now I'm not afraid. I turned off the light and everything's okay, right? So the opposite of fear is understanding. It's to know. And when you know yourself, the more you study you, the more you understand yourself, you realize you actually have all the power. You have all the power to create. You have all the power within you to change any result that you want in life, any circumstance that you have that's going on. You have the power within you. Now, you're not going to know that, right? If you don't study this stuff, if you don't study yourself, if you don't have that information, you're operating in fear and you're operating in the dark. It's very hard to create something worthwhile when you're operating with the lights off, right? Okay, so now we're going to run into this terror barrier. Here it is right here. This is the terror barrier. That's my wall. I guess I can make that just a little more like a wall. Okay, that's a wall. All right, so this is it's the X-type energy that controls the vibration and we're in, right? Your emotions is what controls what vibration you're in. And feeling is a word that we literally invented to describe the conscious awareness of the vibration that we're in. So we invented the word feeling. So how you're feeling about anything is telling you what vibration you're in. Does that make sense? So now the person that has a Y-type idea, they start to get emotionally involved with that Y-type idea. So now you're visualizing. So now it's not like, okay, I want to make $50,000 a month. Now it's like, man, what would my life be like if I was making $50,000 a month? Like, man, I think I would be in Peru. I would be, climbing to the top of the mountains. I would be, I would quit my job. I would, what would I do with the time back that I had from not working a 9 to 5 every day? Like, what? Now you're visualizing, you're getting emotionally involved with that idea. Well, I think I would put my kids in private school, or maybe I would pull them out of school and do homeschool. Maybe we would travel the world. What are the things that you would do? You're visualizing, you're getting emotionally involved with that Y idea. But now you're in an XY vibration, right? Because you haven't changed anything subconsciously yet. You're just now starting to. So what happens? Well, this is chaos, like I said. So an instantly worry, doubt, register on the conscious mind, fear on the subconscious, and on a physical level, now you're in anxiety. And anxiety suppressed and anger turned inward turns to depression, and depression then turns into dis-ease. Never say disease, right? Say dis-ease. It's dis-ease. It's living out of harmony. And so now all hell is breaking loose in this person. They go out to step ahead, but they hit by this terror barrier. They bounce right back into bondage. All right, so they're now cycling back. They're trying to go through their fear. Here, they run into this wall, and then boom, now they're back over here into bondage. They start all over again. And they tried to justify it, and they say things like this: maybe I don't need $50,000 a month. I think I ought to just be grateful for what I have right now. My grandparents told me just to count my blessings, and I should just be happy with just a little. No, but the unique expression within you always wants more. It always wants to express more. And so you're supposed to want more and do more and be more. That's part of our inherent nature. So when you're turning yourself back into bondage, you're literally denying that unique spirit within you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. Now, Thoreau said, if a person advances confidently, understanding, right? Confidence. If a person advances confidently in the direction of their dream and endeavors to live the life they've imagined, they will meet success unexpected in common hours. That's what Thoreau said. So if you endeavor, you have to give it your best shot, to really live the life that you want. When you're talking yourself out of it, you're putting yourself back into bondage. There's no fulfillment in that. You'll never be fulfilled there. It doesn't matter how well you train your mind to live there. You will at some point rebel against your own paradigms, right? So how did you build that great big fantasy? How did you build this C-type goal? Well, how did you turn it into a theory? And then how did you turn that theory into a fact, into a goal, right? Well, you said, I'm able to do it and I'm willing to do it. So you have that information, but we've got to be understanding of what's causing the fear. Because like I said, the opposite, the fear is understanding. We have to understand what's causing it. The understanding of what's causing the fear is what enables you to go through it. Okay, understanding is the key to freedom. It doesn't eliminate the fear though. It doesn't mean it's magically going to go away. It doesn't mean that when you have this goal of making, $5 million a year, that it's going to go away. Because what happens now, you have to start seeing yourself as the next version of yourself. Well, a person that makes $5 million a year does things differently than a person that's earning $50,000 a year, right? They do different things. They behave differently. That's scary to think of yourself in a different way. But that's what it takes. So it doesn't eliminate the chaotic vibration, but enables you to go through it. And that's what we're here trying to learn here today. And so let's talk about freedom. So let's say now you understand, okay, I understood The reason I had any self-doubts, well, I understood that the reason I had fear is because it's a place I've never been before. Now we're always moving into a foreign vibration. We're always moving into a place we've never been before. So we should understand that that's normal. And that's just the way things work, right? You go to a new school for the first time, you go to a new classroom, you're sitting there and it's first day of school, you got jitters, you got fear, you've got a little bit of anxiety, you're in a new place for the first time. But by the end of the week, you're used to it. You stepped into that vibration, you stepped through that fear, you went through it because you continue to show up every day, right? You have understanding, it's not so scary. So let's talk about freedom. What happens when you push through that fear? You've got the understanding, you know you're powerful, you know it's within you, you understand that you're going to be uncomfortable, and that uncomfortable is okay because it's the only way to get there. But what happens when you're on the side of freedom? This is freedom over here. It's on the other side of this wall. You know, Will Smith talks about skydiving, right? And he talks about how, you know, leading up to the point where you're literally on the plane being catapulted out from the airplane, you're just in fear, right? Like the night before, you can't sleep. You're just freaking out inside. You're like, what, you know, why? I'm going to jump out of a plane. You know, what if my parachute doesn't work? What if the plane crashes? What if, you know, what if? All right, let's think about what happens. What if I make a fool of myself? What if people tell me no? What if I look stupid and I, you know, put myself out there and I get rejected? What if? We have all this fear leading up to the point of actually taking action that sometimes we never get to the action. You ever hear of people preparing to work? People prepare to work their whole lives. Sometimes in network marketing, they become professional meeting attenders. They're taking all the notes. They got all the theory down. They've got every ingredient memorized, and yet they never make the freaking phone calls. Why is that? Because of fear. They are refusing to go through it because they get one little iota of uncomfortableness and they turn back around to bondage and they call it something else. They don't call it bondage, right? They call it something else. They say, well, you know, I'm just not ready. I'm going to do it next week. You know, I'm working on a guy in Taiwan. And, you know, once he comes on board, then I'm going to come out of the closet, my network marketing closet. Then I'm going to make the phone call, right? So we have all these excuses that sometimes look like they make a lot of sense. Let's talk about freedom, though. You're still going to experience fear, even in freedom. Now, I will say this. When Will Smith jumped out of that airplane, he says they push you out on two. They count to three, but they push you out on two because they know that if they wait till three, you're going to change your mind. You're going to turn back into, strap yourself back in the seat and change your mind altogether, right? So you're still going to experience the fear. When he jumped out of the airplane, he's flying. Like literally, he's experiencing nothing but pure bliss. He goes through the fear, he's flying. And now he's just like, there's like literally nothing you can do at this stage. There's no changing your mind once you're floating out of an airplane. There's no changing your mind once you're on the phone with somebody and you start to open your mouth about my daily choice. There's no turning around. You may as well go through it at that stage. Now, what happens? Well, let's say now Will Smith had a great experience skydiving. He got to experience pure bliss in the skies. He got to see the whole world all at once. What happens if you get on the phone and the person says, you know what, this sounds great and I'd like to sign up. I'd like to join. Bliss. There's your bliss. You would have never got that yes if you never went through that phone call. You would have never got that yes if you never showed up to the fly-in. You would have never got that yes if you didn't ask, right? If you didn't ask, if you didn't go through it. Is it still scary? Yes, right? You may be nervous as hell. You may sound so ridiculous because your nerves are getting to you on the phone or on the Zoom or on whatever stage you find yourself on. But if you're going through it, and you understand that this is the process, this feeling of uncomfortable is part of the process, then you can get through anything, right? Okay, so here's what happens. It's the repetition. How do you make the fear subside? The repetition of getting involved, emotionally involved with the why idea. It's getting involved with that idea over and over and over. You get involved with that over and over and over again, right? You get diagnosed with something crazy, but in your mind, you're saying, I'm so happy and grateful now that I've healed. I'm so blessed now that I have healing, you know, and you start talking about in your business, you know, I just got 10 no's, but you're getting involved with the why idea. The why idea is $50,000 a month. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm making $50,000 a month. Before you know it, it feels more normal to make $50,000 a month than it does to make $50,000 a year. And now you're looking back, you're going to need a telescope to look for how far back you look and say, man, I would never settle for $50,000 a year ever again. Now that I'm on the other side, right? I'm on this side of fear now. So I would never turn back and try to make 50 grand a year ever again. That's nothing now. Have you ever had a pay increase before? You know what I'm talking about. That's your bar. That's the level of standard that you set for yourself. So that changes the paradigm within you. Literally everything that controls you is a paradigm, right? Your income is a paradigm. How you walk, talk, greet the world is a paradigm. You have the ability to change that. Now you're living in freedom. Now you have freedom. Now you understand your power within you. You understand your creative ability that you have within you. You understand that the reason why you're unsatisfied is that creative expression within you that's trying to seek greater and more fulfilling opportunities. You know that about yourself now. So now you're not going to shut it down. Now you're going to have another idea. So what happens? Well, now you've got a Y-type idea. Now you've got a Y-type subconscious rewritten paradigm, and now you're living in a Y-type vibration. Now that probably sounds like just perfection to you, right? But what happens next? Now the Y-type idea, the Y-type vibration you're in now becomes the bondage, and now you got to do it all over again. You got to set a new goal. You hit that goal, you conquered it, you conquered that fear, you moved into that new frequency. But guess what? That's old news now. Now you got to set a new goal. You set your eyes on a new frequency, get yourself into a higher vibration. This is the power of ascension. This is the ascension within all of us, right? And so you have to ask yourself, if what you're doing right now is not constituting growth, if it's not scaring you, right, then you're going in the wrong direction. Because literally it should scare the crap out of you because it's so big, right? But it should excite you because it's what you really want. Okay, so the beautiful truth is it excites you and it scares you at the same time, because on a conscious level, it's what you really want. And on a subconscious level, it's scary because you've never been there. And you may have the doubt that maybe I can't get there. But now we realize that's part of the conditioning process, is kicking those old ideas out so that you can become the new and best version of yourself. And so we've talked about the opposite of doubt and worry is understanding. This only exists on a conscious level. It's our job to focus on the ideas that we really want, the ideas that we want to become, the person that we want to become. Focus on that and press that into our subconscious to the point where that becomes the new normal. I've reached $1 million a month. I thought I was done, y'all. I thought I was tapped out. I thought I went to the highest, place I could ever think. But I didn't realize that because I had achieved that, that had then become my bondage. So your bondage is wherever you feel comfortable. And that's where you want to step out so that you can take that next quantum leap and really take your business and take your life to the next level. So thank you guys so much for hopping on today. And I will see you guys after convention. I'll see you at convention, but I'll see you back on Thinking Into Results after convention. Bye, guys.